Michael Myers, Leatherface. Papoose is my alias. I hope you like to eat banana clips.
Although Papoose is a notable name in the hip-hop community, he's still considered underground when it comes to his career. I honestly think people mainly know Papoose for being Remy Ma's husband, and not the fact that he's an MC. I see his name being mentioned more in relationship drama than his contribution to rap. But although this is a reality for Papoose, this has never steered him from expressing himself through rapping. He has a lot of notable freestyles that circulated on social media, and he's also involved himself in going at mainstream rappers for a multitude of reasons. Papoose discussed his many frustrations with mainstream rap a multitude of times, as he believes the machine and the people being controlled by it cause a ton of harm to the culture. He's also known for addressing rappers who he feels overstep certain boundaries. One instance in particular is when Kendrick Lamar was featured on a song called Control. This track was originally a Big Sean song that also featured Jay Electronica, but Kendrick Lamar's impact on this track was so big, it would be now known as the Control verse. In Kendrick Lamar's verse on this song, he talks about how he wants to have a friendly competition with other MCs that he feels like are on the same level as him. Although he has love for these rappers, he wants to destroy them to the point where they don't have a core fan base. There are also lines in this song that rub people the wrong way, such as when he said that he's the king of New York, being that he's from Los Angeles.
I'm Machiavelli's offspring, I'm the king of New York.
One of the artists that had an issue with this was Papoose, as he didn't like an outsider saying that he was the king of his hometown. Papoose felt as though he had to respond to Kendrick Lamar, as his statement was completely out of pocket. This led to Papoose dropping his own Control verse that mainly consisted of him taking shots at Kendrick Lamar.
Tell Kendrick and TDE they need to lay yo for the PCP, far from the king.
He also took shots at Big Sean, as he had a problem with the rapper saying B.I.G. in his raps.
B.I.G. Sean, B.I.G.
The reason Papoose had an issue with this is because Brooklyn MC the notorious B.I.G. is known for having the B.I.G. moniker in his name.
I mean, cause you did Big Sean on that verse too.
Yeah, man, because I'm tired of that nigga keep saying he keeps saying B.I.G. before he come here. I'm from Brooklyn, man. We hold Biggie high. You know what I'm saying? Like, every time, and I've been peeped this. I peeped this a while ago. And first time I said, all right, man, maybe he just was on that record. He did it again on another record. I'm like, oh, nah, this dude is violating, man.
Why you always say B.I.G.? You ain't Biggie, you could D.I.E.
In short, Papoose felt as though Kendrick Lamar and Big Sean were disrespecting New York. Another thing that took this over the edge is when Big Sean did an interview with The Breakfast Club, where he stated that he didn't even know who Papoose was.
I feel like people taking it way too serious too. People turning up, especially people who ain't even get named. You know what I'm saying?
People going at you too.
Up. Yeah, who cares?
Yeah,
man?
Papoose threw balls at you.
Who?
This gave Papoose all the ammo he needed to officially drop a diss track at Big Sean called First Chain, which is a remix of a Big Sean song from his album Hall of Fame.
Big Sean album is trash, it sound wicked. In fights I be swinging like Will and Jada Pickett.
If I'm being honest, I don't think the hip-hop world gives Papoose enough credit for his diss tracks, as he approaches them in the traditional way. He goes directly at his opponent with no subliminals, and he doesn't let up on them one bit. I've heard several diss tracks from Papoose, and he's always shown and proved on each one. This song piggybacks heavily off of his Control verse, as he picks up where he left off. On the Control verse, he made it his mission to talk about the feminization of the hip-hop community, along with the feminization of the black man in general. He talked about how rappers like Kanye West wore dresses, as he feels like there isn't any need to do this, other than continue to taint the image of hip-hop and the black man.
Kendrick, Kanye, and Drake, they act feminine. Wear a lot of clothes you usually see women in.
On this diss track, Papoose states that Big Sean is a product of that due to his mannerisms. He also talks about how Big Sean is heavily influenced by his mentor Kanye West, who is a main proponent of this concept that Papoose talks about.
Big Sean speak like a woman when he talk. We can't blame him, it's really not his fault. This is the feminization that he was taught.
He talks about many more examples, how the industry taints artists, with the perfect example being where he states that the game lost Hannah Montana, and they're now stuck with Miley Cyrus. This is his way of saying that the industry has a way of changing the good nature of an artist, which is something Big Sean is a part of. Papoose says a lot of great lines in this song, with some of my favorites being where he states that Big Sean is upset at the fact that he's not acknowledged as a lyricist. Papoose states that this is because everyone knows that he truly sucks. One of the examples he uses is the fact that people skip his verse on Control. Another hilarious line is where he references the label that Big Sean is a part of, which is called Good Music. He states that there's there is a difference between good music and great music, which is his way of saying that Big Sean is mediocre. Papoose also doesn't understand how the label put out his album before Pusha T's, which is his way of saying that Pusha T is the superior artist and Big Sean is just mediocre bubblegum rap.
It's a difference between great music and good music. Y'all ain't good with me. How the fuck they put your album out before Pusha T?
Papoose also addresses the issue of Big Sean using the Notorious B.I.G.'s moniker, B.I.G. He hilariously responds to this by saying that he looks like Ralph Tresvant from New Edition. There are a ton of great lines and metaphors on this track, and just like I said before, Papoose doesn't let up on Big Sean as he disses him throughout this track. The instrumental from the original song is incredible, as it has a smooth and relaxing feel to it. This oddly works with Papoose' aggressive style. All in all, this is a really good diss track, as I didn't have an issue with it as Papoose flows exceptionally well throughout, along with not letting up on his opponent.
Using Biggie name, who gave you permission? You look like Ralph Tresvant from New Edition.
This is another one of those battles that ended based on the other party not being involved. Big Sean could have very well not known who Papoose was, but I think that's highly unlikely. He honestly had no reason to respond to Papoose, as he's someone who was okay with letting Kendrick Lamar call him out on his own song.
Pusha T, Meek Mills, A$AP Rocky, Drake, Big Sean, Jay Electron, Tyler McMillan. I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you niggas.
I think that Big Sean is one of those artists that appreciates the art and doesn't necessarily have any intention of getting into a rap battle. But with this being said, I can honestly understand Papoose' disposition towards the Control song, as it goes against his beliefs when it comes to diss tracks. In the DJ Vlad interview, he expressed his opinion of Big Sean being corny for letting Kendrick Lamar diss him on his own song. Papoose felt that if anybody would have done that to him, that's an automatic invitation to a rap battle.
This new gen, yo man, some of these kids out here, I don't know what's wrong with them. Just my friend, he's just playing. This is friendly competition. No, nigga, you diss me. I got to get you now. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Another thing that I didn't really appreciate about Kendrick Lamar's Control verse is that he didn't respond to any of the people that responded to his verse. I can understand him not responding to Papoose, as he didn't name him in his verse, but there are some people that he did name that responded who he paid no mind to. I know that he subliminally dissed Drake, who didn't like his name being brought up in the diss track, but he didn't make a full-out diss song to Drake. And y'all already know how I feel about his diss tracks towards Drake today. I'm probably about to lose a lot of new subscribers for this, but Kendrick Lamar didn't beat Drake in the battle whatsoever. I wasn't impressed by his diss tracks, as he didn't really go hard at Drake. He only falsely accused him of things and people ate it up. His disses also sucked, and they were very PG, like calling Drake a body shamer and saying that he's someone that's bad with money.
You got gambling problems, spending problems, bad with money. You a body shamer.
Like, how are those hard disses? He also said that Drake is a bully, and he's someone who hates bullies.
Fake bully, I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person.
And probably the weakest diss throughout Kendrick Lamar's diss tracks is when he said that he hates the women that Drake sleeps with.
We hate the bitches you fuck, cause they confuse themselves with real women.
Like, in what universe is that a hard diss? And let's not talk about the thousands of hypocrisies and contradictions in his diss tracks that are still noticeable in today's day. So I already know that if he were to get into a diss track war with someone like Papoose, he'd absolutely get killed, as I feel like he didn't even beat Drake. If you're someone that can't handle my opinion, go ahead and unsubscribe now, because I'm never gonna bite my tongue for anybody. I also take the time out to listen to all of these diss tracks a numerous amount of times, so I have every right to state how I truly feel about something.
Talking about you Hall of Fame, but you and Ye is all the same. Share a verse, wear a skirt, place them on the wall of shame.
I feel like I'm ahead of my time, like I'm ahead, let's rewind. I feel like I never feel like...
In the year 2002, New Jersey native Joe Budden began making a name for himself. He started to get noticed with his work as a mixtape featured artist, which eventually led to him signing to a major record deal with Def Jam. During this time, he released a track called Focus, which spent 17 weeks on the US Billboard chart for hip-hop and R&B, peaking at number 43.
Still on your block with it. Street ball of the black top with it. Ball and wall to the crack spot with it.
He gained even more success in his rap career when he released a single called Pump It Up, which has become his most well-known song, which gained a ton of accolades in the year 2003.
I'm only dealing with freaks that wanna cut mine. If you agree and one nut can't go to get it played late night on beat.
But his rap career was definitely short-lived, as he never was able to gain the same mainstream success he did in his early years. This didn't stop Joe Budden from succeeding in the hip-hop world, as he influenced the podcast culture in a major way. I also think that Joe Budden was the first rapper to vlog on a constant basis, which led to him influencing that genre as well. Joe Budden's internet vlogging career started as early as 2007, which led to him releasing countless ridiculous videos about his everyday life. One of these vlogs will go viral in the year 2009, as it consisted of him reacting to a Vibe magazine list. This list consisted of the publication ranking rappers in brackets, as if it were a tournament. Joe Budden boastfully announced his displeasure of the list, which sparked controversy on the internet. He talks about the rappers that he doesn't think qualify to be on the list, based on the fact that they don't hold the same lyrical ability as him. Surprisingly, Joe Budden was a name that's on the list, and he felt as though he was better than the majority of the rappers in the brackets. One of these rappers he specifically called out was Method Man from the Wu-Tang Clan.
I rap better than most of these niggas.
How many people on this list do you feel that can compete with you or are better than you?
I'm easily better than more than half of the people on this list. Love Method Man to death. He's number 9. You mean to tell me if Method Man was standing in front of my face right this second and we had to rap back and forth, that Method Man would be the victor against me?
Now I have to stop it right here, because I find it very odd that out of all the names that Joe Budden could have said that he was better than, he chose to pick Method Man. You had people like Bow Wow on the list of rappers, but for some reason, Joe Budden thought that he was better than Method Man, and he also thought that he can go toe-to-toe with Method Man in a rap battle and defeat him. When Joe Budden said this, people couldn't believe that he thought that he could go toe-to-toe with someone like Method Man, who was someone that shown and proved his lyrical ability in many ways. But although this was the popular sentiment that was shared throughout social media, there are people that felt as though Joe Budden had the right to state that he's better than the majority of the rappers on the list. These individuals also felt like Joe Budden calling out Method Man was done in the sport of hip-hop, as competition is one of its foundations. Joe Budden's critique of the list went so viral, he'd find himself on Ed Lover's radio show. While on this radio broadcast, Joe Budden stood on his statements, and he even went as far as to say that he would chop off Method Man's head when it comes to a lyrical battle.
I'm fully aware that the majority of people are blinded by the name Method Man and say, oh, Joe Budden can't hang with him. Who, the Pump It Up guy? I'm aware of that. I will cut that dude's head off his shoulders.
Who's he talking about right now?
Talking about Meth, lyrically. He's saying lyric for lyric. Stand next to me in the booth, 32, 32.
And to whoever's listening who may not be aware, go Google me.
During the same radio segment, Method Man called in and stated that Joe Budden was known to do this. Method Man felt like Joe Budden was someone not to be taken seriously, as he's just trying to use his name for buzz.
This dude trying to bait me. I mean, all these years, man, I've been putting out joints, man. All of a sudden, he picked this time to come out with his little comment or whatever, you know what I mean? Trying to bait a brother because he know my album about to drop. If he want to piggyback somebody, man, it's all good. I have no problem with that. You know what I mean? But Joe know. You know what I'm saying? I know people that know him in his own neighborhood, man. He been on medication since he was in junior high school. This nigga certified crazy, B. You know what I mean? And every week, hold on, no, this is true stuff right here. Every week, he picks somebody else to mess with.
This led to Method Man not giving in to Joe Budden's request to battle, which quite a bit of people saw as him being afraid to step up to the challenge. I can definitely understand both sides, as Method Man feels as though he wasn't obligated to give Joe Budden the battle he wanted. I also must note that Joe Budden didn't press the issue either, as he didn't make it seem like Method Man was afraid to battle him. Unfortunately, this led to quite a few altercations with Joe Budden and members of the Wu-Tang Clan. One altercation even led to Joe Budden allegedly getting punched by Wu-Tang Clan member Raekwon the Chef. But there would be one Wu-Tang member who would respond to Joe Budden in a diss track, as he felt like he was disrespectful towards Method Man with his comments. The member in question is Inspectah Deck. Inspectah Deck also explains why he released a diss track to Joe Budden, as Joe Budden promised the Wu-Tang Clan that he wouldn't drop a diss track towards Method Man, which led to him reneging on that promise. I don't know if this is actually true, because there is also an interview where Joe Budden states that Inspectah Deck had no reason to drop a diss track towards him because he already squashed his beef with Method Man and Raekwon the Chef and the rest of the Wu-Tang Clan members. Joe Budden says that Inspectah Deck wasn't informed of this, which led to him dropping a diss track for no reason.
This guy comes in and he's got a record, Inspectah Deck. So I mean, I guess he felt the verse was necessary. Whatever. He's kind of out the loop. Like, I don't even really know. I mean, it's not really any of my business. It's not my place to say. I don't really know how hard the Wu niggas even fuck with him. Like, for the shit to be resolved and
And for him to come out with all of this blah, 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 it just puts me in an awkward situation.
If I'm being honest, I think I believe Joe Budden's story more, because the supposed diss tracks that he released towards the Wu-Tang Clan didn't seem like diss tracks. 2 of these tracks will be covered in this video, which is a song Joe Budden supposedly released towards Method Man called DOO Death of Old Rappers, and Inspectah Deck's diss track to Joe Budden called House.
Rappers ain't a threat to me. Take my words how you wanna. It's the easiest extortion you gon' ever see.
Just like I said before, I don't think this is a diss track towards Method Man, because Joe Budden doesn't provide any blatant disses towards him. I honestly believe someone got this from one of his freestyle sessions and just labeled it a Method Man diss. But if this was a diss track towards Method Man, it was an okay one. This song feels more like a warning shot if anything, as it consists of Joe Budden showcasing his lyrical ability. His delivery is really good, as you can hear the aggression in his voice, and I will say that he has the potential to battle someone like Method Man. Even though there are good elements about Joe Budden's style on this track, his lyrics themselves didn't do anything for me. His bars and setups are okay, but they aren't anything really hard hitting.
Some haters out there want to snatch me up, working with half they head, got a Cassie cut.
Just like I said before, this feels like a lyrical exercise that involves him showcasing his abilities. I also like how the title of this track is fitting, as Joe Budden could be referring to Method Man as an OG, and that he's the new and improved MC. In conclusion, this is just an okay song for me, as Joe Budden didn't do anything exciting other than showcase his potential for a rap battle.
Niggas are scared of the truth. Look in my eyes, you stare at the truth. They doing interludes in any interview.
Inspectah Deck's diss track, on the other hand, is really good, and it also feels like a warning shot. But the difference of Inspectah Deck's warning shot is that he blatantly disses Joe Budden. The main thing he talks about when it comes to Joe are his weird antics when it comes to his blogs. The thing about Joe Budden's blogs is that a lot of people even saw them as being weird back in the day, as it seemed like he was obsessed with his girlfriend. This was also noted on Lil B's diss track to Joe Budden called T-Shirts and Buttons.
Recording all your bitches, you a motherfucking pervert.
Inspectah Deck also harks on this aspect when it comes to Joe Budden.
You like to put your world online. Ain't nobody checking for you. They checking for your girls behind. While your homie in the bedroom, lust in his eyes. While you filming dumb shit, they probably fucked a few times. Wow. How you...
He also talks about how Joe Budden doesn't have a right to challenge someone like Method Man, as he doesn't have the same accolades. Inspectah Deck even goes as far as to say that he doesn't even have the right to battle him, as his first album sold more than anything Joe Budden put out.
Are you talking like the Morpheus of rhymes when my first shit sold more than all your shit combined?
Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know where to fact check this, but I find it odd that Inspectah Deck's Wikipedia page states that his solo album went gold based off of word of mouth from Inspectah Deck himself. Joe Budden's solo album, on the other hand, almost reached gold status by selling over 400,000 units. Inspectah Deck could also be referring to the Wu-Tang Clan's first album, which would go on to achieve platinum status. The overall concept of this track is Inspectah Deck referring to Joe Budden as a house. The reason he states this is because Inspectah Deck sees himself and his crew as individuals who put work in on the field while Joe Budden stays in the house. This could also refer to Joe Budden being a serial vlogger, which consists of him staying in his house for a large majority of the time. One line that I thought was absolutely hilarious in this track is when Inspectah Deck tells the audience to name 3 Joe Budden songs. This leads to him hilariously putting on the popular game show Excerpt, which is his way of saying that it's impossible to name songs from Joe Budden.
Name me 3 Joe Budden songs. Don't worry, I got time, I'll cut the song. Oh man, 3 Joe Budden songs. Damn.
Inspectah Deck also talks about how Joe Budden doesn't have any respect outside of his hometown, as he's someone who's worldwide. He can go to any place in the world and have fans of the Wu-Tang Clan, while also having a huge fan base for himself, as he's someone that's considered a high caliber MC in his crew. I must also note that Inspectah Deck states that this is just the beginning of his diss tracks towards Joe Budden. He states that he's waiting for Joe Budden to respond and says that he has more ammo in the chamber.
For your response, nigga. 5 minutes long. Next time I'ma give you 8. A dirty 8. Straight to the face.
I find it funny that a lot of people said that Method Man was afraid of Joe Budden's challenge, but I honestly feel like Joe Budden was afraid of Inspectah Deck's challenge. Inspectah Deck is someone who's definitely a worthy MC for Joe Budden to battle, and he brushed it off as Inspectah Deck, being someone who was ill-informed of his beef with Method Man. Joe Budden also said in an interview that Inspectah Deck's diss track wasn't worthy of a response, which I think is absolute BS, as Inspectah Deck absolutely killed this track.
It didn't do anything for me, that. And I think the fans don't know. I'm someone who thrives off of this. Like, I love it. I live for it. I don't take it personal at all. But listening to that, it didn't do anything for me.
Do you think we're going to get a response from you, or you're just going to kind of brush it off and focus on the things that are actually important to you, like all your new albums and Slaughterhouse?
Well, the logical Joe Budden says to ignore it. It's not worth the time. And it's really not. Like, he ain't got it anymore. And I say that with the utmost respect for him and everything that he's done.
I feel like Joe Budden could have easily responded to Inspectah Deck in a lot of ways, but he chose not to, simply because it wasn't who he called out. I can understand this, but like I said before, I still think that Inspectah Deck was a worthy opponent for him if he wanted to truly showcase that he's a better lyricist than MCs before him. Another thing I forgot to mention about Inspectah Deck's diss track is the production. The production on this song is absolutely incredible, as it consists of 2 instrumentals that have a raw and rugged feel to them. This matches well with Inspectah Deck's aggressive style, which showcases the fact that he's ready for any and everything Joe Budden has to say about him.
Swagger Jack scenario. All that other trash couldn't last in my stereo. Couldn't be Lloyd Banks, couldn't be Meth, couldn't be Jay-Z. What you got left? I show you what substance is. Ruggedness like 50 ATVs. Label me G, you a house nigga. Take your slippers off, Microsoft crook. Never seen the jokes, never seen your wifey cook. Never seen you sitting with your seed reading books. Wanna show the mass? That ain't work, show your ass.
This was another beef that eventually died down, and I feel like it was squashed behind closed doors, as everyone involved doesn't have any ill words towards each other in today's day. There are interviews that consist of Method Man, Joe Budden, and the rest of the Wu-Tang members reflecting on this beef. They each give their perspectives, but all in all, this beef didn't go any further. But I truly believe that it could have been more legendary if Joe Budden would have entertained Inspectah Deck's diss track. It probably could have even led to him responding to more Wu-Tang members, and he could have actually shown and proved himself to be the high caliber MC he claimed himself to be. Now that I think about it, this was a complete missed opportunity on Joe Budden's part, but at least we got a couple of good and decent diss tracks out of this beef.
Talking about how they prepared to shoot, how thoughtful won't resort to getting near booth. Thoughts are